Oh,
We have to say,
oh, dang.
say bye
You have to say bye. Like, oh no.
for today. That's the clip for this episode.
You have to say bye.
Riley comes in. Angel City on the board.
Corner kick presented by Cedar Sinai.
Shifty work into the box. And across, it's in! Oh, it's LaRue! It's a dream return!
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Casual FC, a World Cup preview podcast, at least for a little bit. I'm your host, Angela Morales, and this is Mario Salazar.
Welcome to our preview. We'll be taking a look at the World Cup and kind of going over it from a different points of view, from the casual to the expert. What is this about? Who's playing? Where are they playing? All of that stuff. How can we watch it? And hopefully, whether you're casual or whether you're experienced, then you'll learn something new.
Definitely. It's our normal stuff, but just a different group of folks this time.
Oh,
a whole bunch more.
International. A little more. Yeah. We're going global today.
Yeah.
So just to kind of start with the big points of everything, this is the Women's World Cup 2023. This is the 9th edition of the tournament, the very first one being in 91. Yes, 91.
Yes.
But this is also the first time that it's being hosted by two different countries. So the two hosting countries are going to be New Zealand and Australia. The really fun part about that is that they're both from different confederations. And if you're new to all of this, confederations just mean like what part of the world do they kind of play together with. So you've probably heard the terms like CONCACAF or CONMEBOL or UEFA.
Lots of letters that are thrown together to make an acronym. Kind of like an onomatopoeia, but not really.
But all of those are the confederations that we play in. So the U.S. plays in CONCACAF, which is North America. It's the U.S., Canada, Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean. And that's what those letters mean somehow when they get mashed together.
I don't think anybody knows something federation. Like, that's it.
But yeah, so Australia is actually part of the Oceania Football Confederation. So not only is it interesting that this is the first time two countries are hosting, but they're also from two different, places.
Definitely.
So that brings us into just kind of the structure, right?
Yeah. So the cool thing about this World Cup or World Cup in general, is that you never really know who all the teams are going to be going in. They play qualifying tournaments. It's very similar to like Olympic qualifying, where you do go through different steps to make it to this final tournament. And this time we have 8 first-time countries that will be competing, which is super cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's always really neat because it's interesting to see how their country and their federation puts the energy behind them and supports them, or doesn't in some cases. It's especially women's soccer federation and country sport is wild and weird and complicated. We'll get into that. But that's a story for a different episode of this World Cup podcast. But the 8 first-time countries that I'm really excited to watch, actually, given the friendlies that have gotten us to this point, are Haiti, Morocco, Panama, the Philippines, Portugal, the Republic of Ireland, Vietnam, and Zambia, who, that's who's making their debuts this year. So
that's a lot of first times.
Yeah, that's 8 different teams. There's 8 groups in the group play section. So each one of them gets their own moment possibly to shine. Overall, there's 32 teams that play in the World Cup. That's the final top echelon of teams. And another milestone for the Philippines is that this is the first ever FIFA tournament for their women's or their men's team. So for them to make it here has already gone further than their team has ever gone. So I'm hoping they at least get a win or score a goal. I hope they do well in that sense. I'm partial to their group and who I want to win their group, but we'll get to that in a second. So,
And
but
the great thing
yeah,
about any of these first time teams is that, like you were saying, we see these confederations sometimes just kind of, they're on the rise, so they're kind of pushing them, they're getting them going.
yeah, they show
And in the
out.
and in, all these teams, they've got a lot of these teams are professionals, maybe playing in
Hmm.
actual professional leagues in their home countries or abroad. Or some of these players are, kind of made up by a bunch of collegiate players, or
Right. A lot of like little known people. Like there's so many stories that come out of the World Cup from smaller countries and smaller federations. And that's what makes it so exciting is that any one of these teams, whether it's the four-time champion US women's national team or a brand new like on the rise team like Ireland or Zambia coming in, anyone can make a run at any given time. It's almost as chaotic as the NWSL. Anything can happen.
and not only that, but for a lot of the times this takes place somewhere else in the world. The
Yeah,
US
so it's
is not the
always an
center of the
adventure.
planet. So we get to enjoy weird times
Yeah,
for broadcast
they
schedules. So
the
we'll
broadcast
go over
schedules
those
are
too.
bonkers. All right, so as Mario mentioned earlier, this is being hosted by Australia and New Zealand, so that's where the games will be played. So anyone here in the US, we are going to convert the times for you. No one needs to math because the math be math and no one wants that. So who is in these groups? Here's a little breakdown of each group and which countries are playing in that group. So Group A, we have New Zealand, Norway, Philippines, and Switzerland. If you have paid attention to Angel City lately, you'll know why I'm a little partial to who I want to win this group. But like I said, we'll get to that on a different episode. Group
And not
B,
not only who we're partial to, but also because it would be the first time
yes,
that they
yes,
would. And
they
hint,
would
hint,
do.
we're talking about New Zealand here.
It's Captain Ali Riley's home team.
Yep.
Alrighty. So Group B is co-host Australia, the Republic of Ireland, Nigeria, the Lady Falcons, and Canada. That group is going to be one to watch. That's just
Yeah.
going to be bonkers.
That'd
The
be insane.
Matildas from Australia, and Sam. I don't know if the Irish have a nickname, but
We'll
again, more
find
on
out
that later.
eventually.
Yes.
As soon as there's a name, the broadcasters will
Oh yeah,
use
we
it to
will
death.
know.
So
Group C are the Spanish, Costa Ricans, Zambians. I'm not sure if it's a long or a short A.
Zambia.
So one, okay, I don't know. They just beat Germany in their friendly, it's like their send off game. So I'm pumped for them. And Japan with our queen Jun Endo. Group D is England, Haiti, Denmark, and China. That should also be an interesting group to watch. There's a lot of possible outcomes from that whole group. Group E is the USA, Vietnam,
Woo.
Netherlands, and Portugal. I am probably
And
the most patriotic during the World Cup and the Olympics, so here we go.
here we go. And cool and thing is that in our group, we are the favorites going into the entire tournament, which is great. We'll
And
talk in
defending
depth about
champions.
we'll talk in depth about all of that. But in our group, we ended up getting two debutantes, two first timers to
Right.
the whole
Yeah.
tournament. So
I
they've
genuinely
got their
kind of feel bad about that.
they've got their work cut out for them. But like we said, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. All right. In Group F, we have France, Jamaica, Brazil, and Panama. In Group G, we have Sweden, South Africa, Italy, and Argentina. And finally, in Group H, Germany, Morocco, Colombia, and South Korea.
Okay, so we just gave you a bunch of names, a bunch of groups. There's 8 groups, 4 teams each in every single one. Now, if that just seems like a lot, I would encourage you to go to, the FIFA.com website and go to the Women's World Cup. And, you can see it in a nice kind of visual package where it's like, Group A, Group B, and little boxes.
Yeah,
And makes
it
a
helps
lot
your brain compartmentalize a little bit and make it a
Exactly.
little bit more digestible.
And you'll see the flags, learn some new flags if you need to. I know I did.
Every World Cup, we learn another flag.
Yeah. So how do the groups play into the larger kind of, format of this World Cup? Everybody got drawn into their groups. And what that means is that in the first stages, so the first 2 weeks, I think it's 2.5 weeks
I think so.
of the tournament, you will only play the teams in your group who you got randomly selected with. So, for instance, in Group A, where we said New Zealand, Norway, the Philippines, and Switzerland, New Zealand will play one match against each of the other three teams on there. Now, and as you play, you get your normal soccer points. You can get your 3 points for the win, your 1 point for a tie, and 0 points if you lose. The top two teams in every single one of these groups will move out of the group stages and get placed into a more traditional playoff bracket that you're familiar with, like
We're used to.
March
Yeah.
Madness type knockout single elimination.
It's basically like we go from 8 different little challenge cups to a March Madness bracket. Each challenge cup is its own little section to get into the bracket.
Exactly. So we're gonna hit that, and then that's really madness is going to ensue come that like last game of each stage.
Yeah.
Because everybody's
unless
gonna be
it's
fighting.
like a blowout.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be fighting for that single point, every single point they can. Then we get into the groups, and it's single elimination.
So
And
what does that
so-
mean? The games, like, can they still tie in the knockout round? I'm guessing no.
No ties in the knockout. There's going to be a winner in each one of these knockout rounds. It's win or lose. Winners keep going. Losers pack up and go home. Or, they'll hang around and maybe watch the rest of it. It's a long flight.
Yeah, could be either, could be both. We'll find out as it goes around.
Now, if the games are tied by the end of regulation, by the end of the 90 minutes, they will play an extra 30 minutes of overtime, which is 2 15-minute halves. If there are no winners by the end of that, then we'll go into penalties. So we can get penalties as soon as the knockout rounds. Like, it's not like just a thing for the finals.
Yep. It's stressful.
It is. It's mega stressful.
But it's also so much fun.
Because there's so much pressure on those that things can go wrong. Like penalties
Things can go wrong.
Penalties are usually the thing that's almost a guarantee. It's not ever a guarantee, but it's pretty close to it, right? Like you have the kicker has the advantage.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But the pressure of that world stage,
especially for some of these newer teams, it's heavy and it's loud, and every game, basically at any point of this tournament, any game feels like a championship game because for so many of these teams, it is. This is the furthest they've ever gotten. They're trying to get their team further than they did last time. And then you have teams like,
if you're getting to the penalty, 120 minutes of
at least
soccer,
that's without stoppage time.
Exactly. So I was going to mention that when I say 30 minutes of overtime or of extra time, that's not to be confused with what we more commonly call stoppage time, which is, any kind of time wasted during the first half or the second half of the 45 minutes. There's always an added 1 to 5 minutes.
1 to 6 usually minutes. Sometimes there's 10.
We've seen, I think in the last World Cup for the men's, we got some crazy 14, 15 minute
insane.
And those were all within either the first half or the second half. So if they're gonna keep the reffing the way they did, where they're being a lot more strict about time wasting, we might be getting these double-digit stoppage times. Then we'll get into extra time if we.
Let's hope these games are, for the players, honestly, let's hope that they're relatively standard time, because once you get into overtime, extra time, and stoppage time, and all these extra things, you don't have legs left. And a lot of times what you'll see is teams that go into overtime in the first couple rounds of the bracket, they don't make it past that next round because they're exhausted.
Yeah.
This is a long game for sure.
Exactly. So this entire tournament takes place within a month. So like we were saying, 2.5 weeks is just that group stages, and then you've got that last 2 weeks ish of the knockouts. So games happen fairly frequently. There's probably about a day or two rest in between. So tired legs is going to be a very, very big thing.
Yeah. So Mario, what does this mean? Since he's technically is an Angel City,
Yeah.
what does this mean for the NWSL and teams within
So I totally deep dived and looked into this because
that?
I started seeing reports about national team replacement players, and I was like, what is this? I don't understand. It does not compute.
Right. This is a lot of letters and a lot of things happening that I don't know about yet.
Exactly, because national team replacement players is just a really long phrase, a long word to say, and then they abbreviate it NTRP, and then you're just like, well, that doesn't even mean anything else. Um,
Right.
but if you've been keeping an eye, or if you've just kind of seen things and you maybe saw national team replacement players, Angel City got two. We have two national team replacement players. All the teams in the NWSL were allowed to sign these players. These players are essentially free agents. They're players that are not assigned to any team at the moment. Any team that has national players going on duty for whatever country they're going to is allowed to sign these replacement players. But there is a window when they can be signed and when they're allowed to play. So apparently there's multiple windows because there's these multiple like FIFA like little breaks that happen throughout
Right.
the year. But the main one
Yeah,
we're
lots of
focusing
international breaks.
yeah, but the main one we're focusing on right now is for the World Cup, right? So players can be signed starting last month on the 23rd, but they have to be released by August 30th.
That's wild.
When they
This
get
is actually, I just learning about this as well. I knew they had replacement players, but I didn't know all of the like intricacies
yeah.
within that world, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
a
This
lot.
is this is my stats deep dive stuff. So like um the cool thing about all of this too is that national team replacement players don't count against a team's roster or their salary cap. Now, if you're not familiar with the NWSL or, American sports in general, we have salary caps. That's the reason we're not paying the, bajillion dollars for players coming from Europe to play for us.
Right, right.
It's a way of creating parity throughout the league. It's a way for everybody to be kind of on the same playing level. If you're smarter with your money and find better players for the amount of money that you have, you'll go farther. But it basically means that you can't blame your team's performance on the money that was spent. Like, oh, if we had more money, we could have gotten better players. It's like, no, the other teams had the exact same amount of money.
Right,
Or
right.
roughly the same amount of money. I know there's a whole bunch of loopy, weird rules about all of that I don't understand, so I'm not even going to get into those. But these national team replacement players don't count against the roster or the salary cap during this period. So during June 23rd through August 30th.
That's wild.
Now,
It's super cool,
yeah.
but it's like that's a big deal.
And I mean, the NWSL this year is taking a break for the World Cup. So Angel City just played their last regular season home game before the break this weekend, which we won. Woo!
Yay!
But we won't have our next regular season matchup won't be till August 19th. So it's a while before we get back to that. Now, we do have a Challenge Cup game at the end of this month. It's one of those things where like scheduling is just going to have to things are going to have to just keep moving. But
I will say, as a preview to that episode, I'm so pumped because we're playing Portland and they have so many people on different national teams. We have a really good shot at winning.
preview to that again, we're in a good spot now. So
Yeah, oh man, that's exciting.
Yes, it's exciting. We're free to keep players after the August 30th deadline. If we do, now their salary and their roster spot affects what we have on the team. So if we had open spots already, great. If we still had the money in the salary cap, great. If we're completely full, not so great, because if they were performing really well and we wanted them, it kind of means someone needs to get bumped off. And I don't really know how best that actually works. We'll see if the two players that Angel City signed, stick with us after that. They'll at least get to play during that Challenge Cup
Totally.
match.
Yeah, and they've actually already started making a pretty big impact. Kelsey Hill, who's one of the players that we signed as a NTRP, has actually been with the team since the preseason, practicing, training, like, being involved in the system. So she has a really good knowledge of what we're doing, what the goals are, that kind of thing. We also signed Elizabeth Eddy, who is a veteran of the league. She was on Houston as recently as last year and then wasn't re-signed. I'm not sure why. I just generally don't have a lot of information on her in my brain. But she's great. She's come in the last couple games, made a huge impact. So it's really going to be interesting to see how JJ and Alyssa Thompson coming back home is going to impact Kelsey and Elizabeth Eddy's role on the team.
Yeah.
If it does, there's a lot.
If it
And
does
that goes
at
for
all.
every team. Yeah, like if it impacts their role, I'm not sure what our salary cap space is, what our roster space is, because that's kind of not really as publicized as a lot of other sports leagues.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
the thing
in the
is that it might
NWSL,
not.
it's
The thing is that it might
different.
not even it might not be a factor of affecting JJ or Alyssa's positions or anything like that. It might be
Right,
a factor of affecting someone else on the team to make room.
right.
But
Like someone
again,
who's on the cusp.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll cross that bridge on the 30th when we get there.
Yeah. We'll cross that bridge, definitely.
So that's really what we've got for you for the World Cup. I know there's a lot of other places that probably go in a deep dive, but really we wanted to give you the kind of overview, the
Yeah, the
quick
quick and
bites, the
dirty.
cliff notes, right? Quick and dirty, and
Yeah.
perfect podcast to go ahead and share with your friends and let them kind of get the basics of what you're about to drag them into and watch games in the middle of the night.
That's what it is. I mentioned this in a couple episodes ago. My friend Emily is who dragged me slightly unwillingly into the 2015 World Cup. And there was no turning back after that point. Have fun, stay up late, get up early, set your alarm for 4 a.m. to watch a game at 4:30. Like it's worth it every time because you're going to watch world-class athletes ball out on the pitch and just have a damn good time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of soccer. Some people will be so irritated that you're going to be talking about for the next month and a half is the World Cup. That's whatever. Let them hate. Have fun, enjoy it, get involved with it, talk about it. Like I've said a million times before, just talk about women's sports in a positive light. Like please spread the
Yeah.
word. Tell people
No.
that they're great.
It's awesome. And my office a couple years ago, well, pre-COVID, we used to actually turn on the TVs in our conference rooms to have the World Cup playing. So maybe I'll get my office to do that again.
Do it.
Well, then again, thinking about that now, the games are either like in the evening or really early in the morning. So I don't know if that's going
There's
to
some
happen.
that are at 11 a.m. There's some
There-
at later mornings. So you might
Yeah.
get some of them.
Yeah. So with all that being said, is going to be at 6 o'clock Pacific time. So we're gonna PM. So we're gonna
Prime time viewing.
you're gonna be able to watch that at home. Have an early dinner, and we'll be cheering on our 4-time U.S. Women's World Cup champions.
4 stars. It's a drive for 5, everyone. I
Yep.
could go on for hours about how.
And we will in the U.S.
Yeah, we will.
episode. So how to watch all of this? Really, if you take a look at our Instagram this weekend after the match that we won, again, just got to say that one more time, I posted up a bunch of images on the Instagram stories, which I apologize for anybody who was actually following us at the time and got spammed with a bunch of stuff. But really what it was is that I broke down the schedule for every day of the group stages and did all the math for you. You're welcome. So all the times have
They're
been
all
adjusted.
in our highlights. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're in our highlights, so you can go watch them. All the times have been adjusted for Pacific time. So they're all ready and set. You don't have to think about, okay, this 3 o'clock Eastern time. What does that mean? You don't got to do the mental math. It'll be right
Yep.
there. Go ahead and take a look at them, save them, take screenshots, share them with friends. Get ready for all those games. And yeah, watch the U.S. women, but also watch,
Watch everybody else.
Watch everybody else.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting, and this is the world's biggest stage for this. Everybody is going to show up and show out, so it's going to be amazing. Just sporting and just amazing soccer, football, just everything.
Absolutely. Angel City is actually hosting 2 different watch parties that are going to start at 11 p.m. Wednesday the 19th at 33 Taps, both in Culver City and Silver Lake. So if you want to stay up all night with your favorite Angel City supporters, go ahead, go have fun. The game starts at midnight, and you'll get to see our captain, Ellie Riley, play and lead her team. She's the captain for New Zealand as well. Kick off the World Cup in her home country, and it's so cool. They will be broadcast on Fox, who is the official broadcaster for the English language broadcast in the United States. So it's all the Fox networks, Fox FS1, foxsports.com, the app, any streaming that carries Fox, YouTube TV, Fubo, Sling, like all the places that Fox exists. You can catch the English broadcast there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, with all of that Fox access is you do need a TV subscription to be able to watch some of the streaming stuff. So but because it's on Fox, it means it'll be at every single bar. So
yes,
you can go
so
ahead
as
and
we've
watch
said
them.
before, if you're at a bar somewhere late and you know there's a game on, get them to turn it on if they don't have it already on. It's an international tournament. There's no reason why it shouldn't be on because they're already paying for the channels. Get in their face about it.
Yeah.
Telemundo is the official broadcaster for the Spanish language broadcasts in the U.S. Matches will be on both the Telemundo and Universo channels, and they'll all be streaming in Spanish on Peacock as well. Here's the crazy thing. For some reason, Telemundo broadcasts rarely fail. I might be jinxing it. I don't think so. And I think it's because soccer is so beloved in Spanish-speaking countries that they know that if their broadcasts go out, good luck. There will be a riot.
They'll never get it again.
Yeah, they'll never have, Telemundo will never show soccer again. So I do suggest, even if you speak English primarily, you don't speak a lick of Spanish, it's totally fine. You will still understand what's going on. Spanish language broadcasts are so emphatic and fun, and
it's more passionate.
Yes, it's not as analytical as it is very smart and very educated about the game, but it's not as stuffy analytical as U.S. broadcasts can be when it comes to sports. It's way more emotional, and the broadcasters are having fun. These are their home countries that are competing as well, so you get the love of the game from local reporters. It's so great. So if it's your first rodeo, make sure you know how and where to stream and watch Telemundo, because might as well just tune in at least once to get the experience. Just do it. It's great. The really cool thing about this too is that Telemundo has introduced their World Cup 2023 broadcast team, and the best part is that it's anchored by the largest female team of commentators in a Spanish language media history. So this is humongous, huge. I know a bunch of our listeners are Latinos because they're my friends, and they're your friends, they're our friends. It is such a big deal to have women calling the game, both in English and Spanish. And I know there's a lot of people out there who are not exactly happy with who the U.S. is having commentate a lot of the games. That's a whole different conversation. But to have a female-led broadcast team for the Women's World Cup is gigantic because of the reach that they will have through Spanish language media over the next month and a half. So keep your eye on our feed. We'll post TV schedules for the upcoming matches there, as much information. I'll probably just be screaming about everything on Twitter, on Instagram, on my personal Instagram, and our Casual FC Instagram. I have to retain composure while I'm at work. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm grateful that the games are on the off times, and I'm not going to sleep for a month, but I've done it before. I'll do it again.
Every 4 years.
Yeah. Wonderful time.
With all of that, thank you for listening to us. Subscribe, follow, get ready for all the content that's coming to you. We're on all the platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, etc. All the places you want to find them. If I didn't list one, we're probably on it. Go check out our website, casualfc.com. And that has the episodes on the website, and then it also has links to all the places you can find it. So go check it out there and make sure you're subscribed.
Definitely. We are on all the socials at Casual FC Pod on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Threads because we had to jump on it because them's the rules these days, apparently.
Yeah.
So do
You
what
know-
you can. Help us out when you can. And share the podcast. Leave a comment. Let us know what your favorite World Cup memory is to this point, either on a DM or on a post. We'll respond to it. We'll bring it up somehow. Yeah, I'm so excited.
This is going to be fun. All right.
Definitely.
Well, thank you.
Definitely.
And bye.
Later days at LFG USA.